Okay, we are live. Thanks everybody who's joining us on the live stream and everybody watching us later. We are super excited today. I'm more nervous than ever because I'm actually combining two worlds that I usually don't. It's my personal life and my work, so it's gonna be a little bit weird and interesting, but probably more funny and more, making fun of me than anything. But I have June Gonzalez, my wife here. She's a dog groomer of more than 20 years. And, we have our regular crew: Chris, Dave, Bill, Greg. You pretty much know them. I want to skip the intro because I think we have a lot to talk about. And I think Sammy is joining now. So I'm going to put her
Sammy
on
just
the
showed up.
stage.
Can you guys hear me?
And there's Sammy. Hi, Sammy.
Hi.
We just went live now. So we're just doing the intro pretty much. Like we spoke this morning, we're going to talk about mostly pet grooming, but I want to make it more about all the other pet services we have that are related to pet grooming. Breeders, boarding, trainers. I think this is a good chance to talk a little bit about our interactions and how we build community. Because if we make our patients the center of it all and the reason we do what we do, then we can probably understand how to go about getting along and collaborating with other services other than veterinary medicine. So, I'm gonna pretty much start now. I think, I tend to not like the whole like tell us about you, and then we hear like half an hour of, I was born and blah blah blah. So, I'm gonna go straight to it, and I think Bill had some good questions. So, Bill, you want to ask June something? Couple questions there
I
about
do.
what you're wondering.
I do have questions, and I'll have a reputation for being a little bit of a provocateur sometimes, but I genuinely believe that groomer is the toughest job in vet med. Like that is like as a clinician, like I can remove hair, but to make it look pretty and
Yeah.
like without the help of drugs, like no, that's not.
Yeah.
That's way
Yeah.
tougher. So I would never want to trade jobs. Um, but so from my perspective though, like what can veterinarians who aren't your husband do to annoy groomers less?
um. Oof. I think so. What I see a lot of is veterinarians throwing groomers under the bus for a lot of
Sure.
stuff.
Yeah.
Ear infections. Well, they must have gotten water in the ears. Put cotton balls in, which is an absorbent material and pulls water down into the canal. So, or nicks and cuts that we know we didn't do. Possibly we revealed it by shaving the dog
Sure.
down, but I feel like automatically it's, you know, oh, the dog was just groomed. The groomer must have done it. Or, the dog has kennel cough. Well, has he been to the groomer lately? That's the first question. And some groomers are irresponsible in their cleaning practices, but when you're super careful, it's not a given that it came from here, especially if it's one dog that got it, this highly contagious, infection. So I think that's one
I
of the things,
appreciate
like
that.
kind of giving us the benefit of the doubt, unless you know
Sure.
for a fact that the groomer does not have, good practices with cleaning and hygiene and all that. If you know that they're, lacking integrity in their practice, then but give us the benefit of the doubt. It
Yeah.
doesn't always happen here.
And I think that kind of speaks to my next question is that like there are groomers with whom I have a good relationship because I think they do a really good job.
Yeah.
And uh, you know what helps, like what do you want to hear from veterinarians to like build those relationships that like, hey, how, because we're on the same team, right? Like we're not,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Same
we've got
clients,
very
same dogs.
sure.
Um, I would love, if a client, if a veterinarian does have an issue with something that possibly happened at my salon, I would love for them to call me. you know, or say, hey, listen, I'm getting a lot of dogs that are coming in with staph infection or a lot of dogs with kennel cough or whatever. Call me and say,
Mhm.
hey, we're getting a lot of dogs at my vet clinic that are sick. What can you do about this? Instead of just, you know, throwing us under the bus, because a lot of the times we don't know. The dog will get sick, and this doesn't really happen at my shop, but you know, I've worked in places where it's happened. But the dog will get sick, it goes to the vet, and then they never come back, and we don't know.
Sure.
If you
I got
have
a
that
couple.
good relationship with that groomer. If
I
not,
got
you're
a
gonna
couple.
piss somebody off.
Could I ask just a couple of things here? Number one, I want to hear some of the bad jokes that clients make about their dog's grooming, so I can avoid those. I want to go second tier with those jokes. Number two, I want to know if you cut John's hair or
I
if
do.
you,
I do.
okay.
She does. She
Yeah.
You know what's
does.
funny
Man,
about that?
Greg, that's perfect questions.
Actually, I'm just looking at myself right now, and I think I should probably take care of this. And
There you
then
go.
you know, one of
Nice.
the biggest overlaps I think is dealing with clients and some of the expectations they have, or maybe misconceptions about either products or how, you know, how grooming is involved. I imagine you see fleas and you see skin
Yeah.
conditions, and
Yeah.
people are probably dousing their pets in coconut oil. So that's probably 17 questions, and maybe just focus on the last one about the client, you know, client misconceptions. And I bet you and John sort of share some of those conversations about what clients are thinking about. But I would love to hear the grooming perspective on that.
I feel like a lot of my clients are looking for the easy answer, the cheapest answer. They go to the vet, they try Apoquel, it doesn't work. They come back, they try Cytopoint, it doesn't work, and then they give up on everything. And they're asking me, you know, well, I've read on TikTok, or I saw on TikTok that coconut oil works for skin issues, and I just always refer them back to the vet. Or I say, hey, you know, if they're really combative about it, then I say, you know what, try it and let me know if it works. The skin conditions, I don't, a lot of places will offer this bougie coconut oil soak that sits for 20 minutes with essential oils. And it's, in my mind, it's BS. Go to your vet, you know, go to your vet, or let me use, I have some veterinary grade shampoo that I use depending on the skin condition. But, you know, I still have people asking me for a flea dip. And I'm like, this isn't the 1980s, y'all. You know, like we don't do flea dips anymore.
What year do you think it is?
Like they want me to, you know, treat their dog without having to spend money at the vet. And it
Well,
never,
Yeah, so basically what I've seen happen a lot is that they're like, well, I have this problem, but the vet's expensive. Let me try and
Yeah.
get a groom.
Yep.
And I'm going to get out of this groom, I'm going to get relief from my dog's atopic dermatitis
yeah.
with skin infection, right? And my groomer is going to bathe the dog, and then all the skin issues are going to be gone. So then they have that. The dog's still itchy, probably worse because you're irritating the skin more.
Yep.
You're making it more
Yep.
itchy. You're pissing off the skin. And then
Yep.
they go to the vet. Hey, I just went to the groomer and she had a reaction to the shampoo.
Yeah.
And then the vet's
Yeah.
like, what? A
Yeah.
reaction to the shampoo? What is this? Like, are you using like freaking arsenic here? Right?
Yeah.
So like,
Exactly.
you know, then you're like, okay, well, as a vet nowadays, you know, because I have June and I know what happens. I'm like, okay, so your dog probably had allergies. You went to the groomer, you tried a bath, and now you're here. So let's talk about allergies, not about your groomer. And that's one of the things that I think is the main point of this talk. Is like, I think we need to tone down the language a little bit when we have complaints from clients about grooming stuff. Like, oh, my dog was fine and went to the groomer and now it has an ear infection.
Yeah.
I think part of part of our
exposed
job
it,
is like, well,
maybe.
what's that?
I said we exposed it, maybe.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you brought it to their attention,
They're
or
aware.
even right, or if it, you know, the dog was gonna have it anyway, then you know, basically, as a veterinarian, we shouldn't be like, oh yeah, tell your groomer to put cotton balls in their ears. Here's some ear post attacks or whatever, some ear medicine. Go home. No, like
Yeah.
we should be like, hey, I think your dog has an issue that we need to look into. I don't think the groomer had a lot to do with it. Maybe
Yeah.
actually it benefited your dog that now you're here after the
Yeah.
groomer. So, I think that's kind of like something that we need to do a little more and be more collaborative and kind of like not blame groomers for things that are happening or not feed the owner's rage so much as to focus on what the pet needs.
Yeah. I have a question for you. Working in vet med for a while, right? Like there's stuff all of us notice about a veterinarian who you're like, yeah, I wouldn't trust that guy with anything sharp. Like, are there signs, are there like tells that you're like, I'm not hiring that groomer, or like you shouldn't let that groomer anywhere near your pet? Like I wouldn't let that groomer cut the lawn.
Yeah. So I recently hired a girl that had 15 years experience. She set up in my shop and she had what's called a groomer's helper. And what it is this.
I love that you have props. This is fantastic.
I didn't know. That's cool.
They tie the dog up here.
Yeah.
Right. And then they have it hooked here. Mine has lax in it, right? So the dog can at least move. What hers had was it had the dog completely up against the pole where its face just stuck to the pole. So he's tied up here and tied up here. And what I started noticing was a lot of IVDD of dogs that I've been grooming.
Cervical, like neck. Yep.
Jesus.
She grooms them like 3 times. I see the dog struggling. She likes it because they stay still because they can't move. But now I'm getting phone calls. My dog has disc issues. Disc issues. And I'm like, and I look at who's been grooming that dog. It's her.
Whoa.
And so that's like one big sign, and it makes it easier for them. But if you can't work on a moving animal, then you need to leave the profession. That's what we do, sharp instruments on a moving animal. So restraining them to the point where they're destroying their necks isn't good. That's one thing. What's crazy is that I have a business in my area that I'm seeing a lot of petechial hemorrhages coming in.
In their eyes.
In the eyes. Yep. And so I don't know if she is strangling the dogs or if she's using that's choking them. She actually just recently had one dog die in her shop, a 1-year-old Shih Tzu. So I would if you have
1-year-old.
If you have a good relationship with your groomer or
they're great.
Groomers, just refer to them and steer clear and listen to your clients too,
Yeah.
So let's say, Dave,
my local groomer is they've got a longer wait time than like they're busy every day. They're not slacking, but people are like, oh, when can you get in? It's like, 2027.
Yeah.
So let's say Dave's about to bring his dog in for a grooming appointment and it's the first time he's going to visit the shop. Like, what is he looking for? Like when the first time the clients bring a dog, like what are things that are positive, or things, Dave, like anything else that you wonder about, like bringing in your dog, like how do you feel?
I have cats. So our groomer comes in a converted school bus and grooms the 2 cats who grow mats. But no,
that's awesome.
I let Jen answer the question, then I have a follow-up for her. Like, what would I be looking for?
I was going to say, most places say look for cleanliness, but honestly, this is a pretty hairy, dirty job. So if there's fur all over the floor, that's not dirty. That's, work. Excuse me. I would just get a feel. I can't even say if the dogs don't want to come in the door because a lot of them hate the whole process, the bath, the anal glands, the nails. So I have some dogs that I absolutely love, but you would think that I beat the hell out of them by the way they don't want to come in, So
that's something we share.
We share that, yes, for sure.
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah. You know.
And then when they start talking to them, right, Greg, like, oh, it's okay, buddy, he's not gonna hurt you, and you're standing right there. And they're talking to their dog, not you. Oh, buddy, it's fine. He's just the vet's gonna be okay. And then they look at you like,
I don't really know what to look for. I would just base it off of word of mouth, and if you have a bad feeling, then leave.
Yeah.
So I guess my point is, as veterinarians, we have a lot of power recommending who grooms our patient, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think I think we need to be a little more proactive about maybe asking, like, where do you get him groomed and how, just to avoid problems later, like IVDD on their neck.
Yeah, and just so I can offer, I said this in a pre-call planning, but in veterinary medicine, specialty and GPs haven't always synergized really well. Used to be a concern at GPs that specialists were going to steal their clients. So specialists spend a lot of time with GPs, taking them out to dinner, educating them, and they still do, to build that trust. And I wonder what the next phase of the network is, so that all the vets on this channel build a relationship with the groomers. Is it on the groomer to do that, or is it on the vet to do that, or what do you think? Just open question, June. What do you think the best way is to build that level of trust?
I would just keep in mind when people praise their groomer, oh, I love this woman, or I love this place, I love this groomer. Just kind of keep tabs on where the good comes from, and then also keep tabs on where the bad comes from. But you also have to see in between the bullshit. Yeah. You know, where they're pissed off because there was a $5 increase, not because the dog didn't look good or you know. So I don't really know. I know that y'all are busy, and calling groomers and establishing relationships isn't ideal. It's probably the last thing that you want to do at the end of the day. But, you know, I have, with my husband being a vet, I have another local vet who is actually his competition. There's a fly in here. Who's his competition. And I groom their dogs, and I still refer people to them, you know. As long as they're good and good to the animals, then I'm happy. You know, it doesn't always have to be, oh, go to my husband, go to my husband, go to my husband. So I would just keep your ears open, you know, for what you hear, the good and the bad, and refer people that way. If you want to have a relationship, I guess maybe you could call, but I don't know what you would say.
And that's a good point. Like, not everybody's a good fit with the other person, right? Maybe like I know 3 groomers, and I feel like you should go here, or the groomer knows 3 vets, and I feel like you guys would get along better here or there, or you know what I mean? Like it, you know, there's that collaboration of fitting the patients with the right person, right?
And I'll say
once
this,
you start referring to a certain groomer, usually what I do is, like when John wasn't working in the area, when I started noticing, oh, Dr. So-and-so referred me, Dr. So-and-so, and it was the same doctor, I would start referring them back just as a courtesy, you know, as long as they were good.
I will say that years ago, when I worked in the area, but before I opened this place, every time I noticed, like, wow, this dog has a really good haircut. Where did you go? It was, fortunately, it was the groomer that is now my next door neighbor. But like, if you notice that as a veterinarian, like, call it out, like, say, like, hey, they did a good job. Where did they go?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Tammy, you have any questions?
I was going to say, I just feel like this is something that works well in certain communities, right? If you live in a really urban, really busy area that doesn't have strong urban design and a communal feel, that's a bit more difficult. And especially people who live in areas that are a bit more isolated, not necessarily rural versus urban, but areas that have good design where it's more walkable, where you can get from shop to shop easier, where you tend to know everybody in the community, where it's really a village vibe. I feel like this kind of holistic animal care integration and knowing your clients and being able to recommend them more easily based on their preferences, et cetera, is much easier. And we were talking on the pre-call, Dave was mentioning there have been some attempts to make sort of apps to sort of help us in our more isolated, individualized lives to sort of connect and to integrate all the aspects of the care team, but they haven't really been successful. And I don't know why that is. I've noticed that in Europe as well. There have been a few developers who have tried to make apps like that, and it would be amazing if that could work, but it doesn't. And I don't know why.
Sammy, your comment respectfully sounds very much like an American who spent time living in Europe and is like, wow, I've moved back to the United States and I have to drive everywhere for everything.
Yeah. It's really the automobile which has broken down the village and made us more isolated and made it more difficult. But I'm fortunate now in where I live in Miami in the winter, we have a really good walkable communal neighborhood where we have 2 groomers, there's 1 vet practice, there's 1 pet shop, and we're actually able to refer and recommend each other, and everybody knows each other and is comfortable doing that. But most areas of the US are not designed that way. And so we have to find a way to overcome it and to build the village on our own, even if it's not so accessible. And when we were talking about whose responsibility is it one way or the other, I think we all have to assume the ultimate responsibility and make it a point to know who are the other animal people in the area and how can we work better together, because everybody wants the village, but they don't want to be the villager.
Yeah.
But it's on us to be the villager, to show up, to go out, to reach out, to take them out to lunch, learn who's around you and how you can be the best villager.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that benefits the patient, right? Like overall, right?
Totally.
You get people that care for that pet, that get along, and that's like, the whole point. Go ahead, Greg.
June, on that thread about community and different professions, one of the things that I always, my sort of attention gets heightened is when I have a client who's in the human medical field. And there's a certain language that we share, and there's a certain sort of camaraderie. When you have human hairstylists, barbers, whatever, what's the conversations like? Do you talk shop, or do you critique each other? Like when you get your hair styled, are you I'm very curious about that.
I have a lot of hairstylist clients, and the girl who does my hair, I groom her dog. And one day she said, "Here's a Piradoodle of all things," and I said,
what?
A what?
Piradoodle?
Pyrenees poodle.
Oh.
What the?
Oh.
Who does that?
Nightmare.
How do we
That's
drop a
amazing.
photo here of what that looks like?
Right. We have to post that.
It's a
Oh,
nightmare of a
God.
coat. But she said, my dog's not that difficult. I've brushed her. And I said, okay. I said, so she started working on my hair, and I started going like this. And I said, now get your scissors out, and I want you to trim just this little piece here.
Yeah.
And then move around
I
and
promise I won't bite you.
And then pee on
Right.
pee in the chair. But I think grooming is much harder. I can cut people's hair, but my hairstylist can't cut their dog's hair. So I think it's way more difficult, but it's the moving aspect. Once you get used to a moving target, you're good. But it's funny when I do John's hair. So I hold all of my dogs by their chin, right? Because when you're scissoring, you have to be able to feel if they're going to pop up. So when I do John's hair, I'll hold his chin.
Yep.
Got him by the
And
beard.
he's like, you don't have
Yep.
to do that. I said, I have to.
and I usually I get so upset that I express my anal glands.
I was gonna say you should smear some peanut butter on the wall, and you can just lick it off while you.
That would be nice.
forehead.
She doesn't do that for me. No, fear free at all. Fearful.
I'm loving this intimate window into your relationship. Please.
It's
Yeah.
terrible.
Tell us
This
more.
is
Tell us
exactly what I was afraid of.
The 5 of us are like the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh wheel on a date right now. This is very
Oh my God.
weird.
It's like, where'd John go? He lost his signal. His Wi-Fi went out. Oh wait, but June's on it. So we were talking a little bit about like not grooming alone, but I think there's other services like, breeders, for example, right? And trainers and boarding facilities. And, I think we need to get a little proactive about adding all those things together. I think, Sammy, you were talking about your relationship with breeders and how what things are important, what you look at in terms of recommending or how do you build that relationship with breeders? Because I do see a lot of issues there as well.
Yeah, that's a huge one, right? I feel like veterinarians are so at odds with the breeders because we're kind of the voice for the shelter mutt. And, you have a lot of breeders out there that are unethical and not very well trained and are really financially driven. So I don't know if any of you follow the Honest Vet. Samelin Hammond or something like this on Instagram. She had a case recently. She's like an influencer vet, and she had a case recently of an irresponsible breeder, and the puppy it was a dystocia, and the puppy had died inside the dog. and just everything she went through with the dog and trying to keep her alive. But ultimately, the mother dog went septic and died, and the breeder had to surrender her over, and they're going back and forth fighting. Just a horrible case. And it's cases like this that I think scare veterinarians and give breeders a bad rap. But not every breeder is a bad breeder, and it's okay to want a purebred dog and to buy a dog. Not everybody has to get a shelter dog. I don't judge you for that. Dogs are really important to people, different breeds. It can also be a status symbol, but like no judgment there. But you have to be, if we divorce ourselves from breeders entirely, it's actually on us because we're putting a whole group of animals at risk by not welcoming the breeders in and offering care and supporting them from the beginning to the end. So that's an area we have to be really careful in, I think. We can definitely do better to improve our relationships with breeders and to educate them, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think there's a lot of judgment. I work with a lot of vets in different places, and the breeder that sends a little page from a notebook with some notes about when they gave the DAPP, and people kind of chuckle and laugh, and maybe that person has really good intentions, and maybe he needs somebody to say, like, or he or she needs somebody to say, like, you're doing it right. This, I would do this differently, but I think you're doing a great job, and just support them a little more and kind of involve them in that care of the pet and not judge them as much. Has that happened to you, Greg, where you're going to a puppy appointment and it's like the vaccine record and it's like, vaccine spelled wrong, and then there's like a date and it says DAPP, and you kind of have that first impression of like, what the hell? And then you're like, okay, a little bit of compassion and empathy and education.
Yeah, I would mix in a little bit of ridicule, but I keep it contained, and so it's not, I'm not attacking. I'm going into my own bubble, and I'm
Comedic opportunity you should take.
But no, actually, so this is, well, the breeding is interesting, and the fact that I have a question about like the proportion of like oodle being added to breeds. Like, it just seems to be going up and up. Like, we project out, extrapolate out, and cats are gonna be bred with doodles, and it's gonna be weird. But June, I have a question for you. You've been doing this for 20 years. I'm very curious to know your thoughts about how people's relationship with pets has changed over that time. And I have my own thought. I've only been out for 12 years, so I have my own thoughts. But I'm really curious because I know that affects the grooming relationship too.
Yeah, well, the whole fur baby thing. I feel like when that started, it became these. I have these clients that are like, they want to sit and watch while I groom, which is fine. But this fly. There's one fly that's just okay.
You know what? I'm gonna say, since we're talking about a fly, if anybody ever has a fly that's being annoying, they sell this gun, but it's a salt gun. What's the name of it? The assault something, but salt, like as in salt and pepper.
Assault rifle is really what
something like that. Assault, something, yeah. So like it's the best thing ever. It's fun, and
I'm really curious if it hurts when June shoots you with it.
I have shot him with it.
Yes. It feels like just little grains of salt in your hand. It's not bad.
Like accidentally on purpose?
No, on purpose.
On purpose.
On purpose.
Sponsorship opportunity.
Yeah.
There you go. That's true. I'm not gonna say that. That's true, Greg. I'm not gonna say the name of the gun. If the people from the gun want to reach out to FlareVet, go ahead, and maybe we can work something out to pay for it. But anyway, Bill, I want to go back to like, how have you built relationships with groomers and breeders and trainers, and like just a general idea of like what can we do proactively to build that community?
I've been fortunate as a practice owner because I had a really good groomer in the same like shopping village that I work in, and I had a like very successful doggy bakery in the same little shopping village where I started my hospital. So I had innate advantages there, and I was fortunate in my first couple of years of being open to like meet a trainer I really liked and who's really good and really responsible and thoughtful. I think I'll meet trainers sometimes who have like one tool in their toolbox, and that is always a red flag for me. This guy has a variety of approaches because dogs are not all the same. And I also have the good fortune, my best client is a breeder, importer, exporter of fancy cats, of Maine Coons and Sphinxes and Bengals and all British Shorthairs and all these, specialty breeds of cats. And she is hyper organized and hyper responsible. And, never, if I refuse to sign a health certificate, I don't hear about it at all. The cat comes in the next week for a recheck in the respiratory infection or whatever is cleared up, and we're good to fly. And like, she is just really takes very good care of her animals. And I also live in a place that is not that far from Amish country where they don't always take really good care of their animals. And the overbred, German Shepherds or the overbred specialty breeds, before they started putting the oodles and everything. So I get to kind of see both sides of it. And I think when somebody's doing something the right way, that's what you want to praise and that's what you want to recognize. And like, if somebody's doing a good job, if they're a breeder, a groomer, a doggy bakery, or a trainer, like, acknowledge it and build that relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, and be aware that that's important. Be aware that have the chance to, like, if you have the chance to recommend somebody you trust, then do it proactively.
I have a question for
so-
y'all. So what I'm noticing with a lot of the trazodone, gabapentin, like any kind of sedated dog, the vets are telling them to give it an hour to 2 hours before. But what I'm noticing in my shop is that it's kicking in at least well enough for me to be able to handle the dog at like 4 hours. So by that point, it messes up my whole day because I started the dog. He wasn't, he wasn't tranked enough. But then once I'm done grooming the dog, he's sitting back there, and then I notice him getting deeper and deeper, and I'm like, there's the sweet spot. And I started noticing it's about 4 hours. So I wanted to know.
I'm going to give you the least helpful answer, and then everybody else can improve on mine. It depends on the dog.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to do a trial run. They have to do a trial run once before they go to the groomer and monitor the animal's response and then bring them to you the second time.
Yeah.
Which
Okay.
about
'Cause I get a
nobody
lot
does.
Well, the vet
Yeah.
said 2 hours. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
He's still trying to kill me.
Yeah.
I think people get in the habit of just doing a textbook and not really tailored to the patient, and just
Yeah.
kind of see how they do, and kind of adjust to that timing.
The other
Yeah.
thing too, I think that I'm sorry, it's actually answering your question, but the things that have changed with the whole fur baby, this is my child, they're creating anxiety with the dogs, and sometimes they'll say, well, the dog's sedated, and I'm like, I don't think the dog needs it. I think you need it. Maybe you should be taking the vet, because you can't part with the dog. It's insane. And oh, is it my baby? It's my baby. And I'm like, I get it. My dogs are my babies, but this is overboard,
And she lets them stay, right? You let them stay to see them. So the people that are super like that, they stay to watch the grooming, and it's like then you need the medicine.
Yeah,
And
right.
wasn't
They
there a
do.
study that came out during COVID that
Yeah.
dogs do better with their owners present, and it was like 17 animals,
Yeah.
and the dogs that did better with their owners, it was like 9 to 8.
Yeah.
And it was like, that's not the conclusion of this study. Like, that is not the headline. Like, the headline is it's about half and half. And the headline should be, we're not done the study yet.
Yeah. But they're creating these neurotic, needy dogs that can't leave. I mean, a dog takes maybe an hour and a half to groom at my shop from start to finish. And I have owners showing up after like 40 minutes, like banging on the door, where's my dog? And the dogs are neurotic too. So there's like, it's kind of annoying. Like, I can't do my job. I can't deal with these people. I can't explain to them that their dog is okay, especially after they leave. I'm like, the dog's even better after you leave. You are the problem. The owners are the problems a lot of the time.
But then, I guess we have to be compassionate and find a way to explain, the best we can, right? Like Dave, how do you feel about that part? When the clients, I always like your perspective from the client's point of view, right? Like, I'm bringing my dog, I'm super anxious, it's my baby. What can help from the groomer or the vet or the trainer side? What can we say? Or how can we approach that conversation?
God, John, I don't know what would convince them. You mean what to tell them so that they can feel more at ease?
Yeah,
Yeah,
what do you want to
like
hear from
what
us?
yeah, what works for you, you know, in terms of like, what do you tell them or how you handle that moment, right? Because
Oh, what do I
it
tell
happens
them?
at the vet too. I mean, we sometimes we have a nurse holding the dog, and then the owner insists. They get up from their
Yeah.
bench, they hug the dog, and you're like, I don't want to be rude. Yeah,
You know what?
that's it.
Sometimes
Oh
I'll
my
take
god! Oh
That helps the
my god!
animal. Yeah.
sometimes I'll
So
take
so
videos.
how do you approach that moment? Like, what do you tell them?
Sometimes I'll take videos of the dog on my table, especially if they're blowing up my phone. I'm just worried about Peppy. I'm just worried about Peppy, and I'll take a video of the dog like wagging its tail and happy on my table, and that'll usually shut them up. Sometimes I let them stay and watch, but you know, once they've sat here so many times for 2 hours, it gets old, and they're like, okay, I trust her. But I mean,
So that's a good point. So I know there's I think that's a good point where like you let them see, you let them be involved, you let them look at the place, you let them see the treatment area, you let
yeah,
them be there. You know, there's clinics now that are open concept, glass windows everywhere. I don't know that I agree with that, but I think there's a balance of showing them what you're doing and how and where, and then just being open and being, you know, more flexible with them, then they trust more, is how I
yeah.
feel.
You know, I hear a lot of clients complain. Well, they took my dog into the back and wouldn't let me go with them. And I say, for insurance reasons, they can't. They're not beating your dog or stabbing it like this with needles. You know, it's a professional. I don't know what that answer. Maybe the open concept idea with the
I,
windows.
so I often take dogs in the back,
Hmm.
and I invite the client, like, you can come if you want. There's just more room, right? Like, the exam rooms are kind of small. There's more room in the treatment area. Like, you can come if you want. Um, or I'll tell the owner, like, sometimes dogs that's super anxious, they do better away from their owners because they're not protective or they don't feel the need to be protected. Um, and it's like a whole bunch of dogs. Like, you get them, my dog's one of them. Like, you get her away from me and you can trim her nails, no problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have
And
I'm a cat guy, right? And the only time we get our cats groomed, they're too long haired. We give them a lion cut because we just can't control their mats in the summer.
Hmm.
So they look hilarious. That's once a year. And something just came to me, which is I don't know the first thing about how often people get their dogs groomed. June, do they come weekly? I get my hair cut once a year. So I'm also a bad proxy for that. and I asked that because how often?
It depends on the breed, but I have some that come every 2 weeks, some that come every 4. It's usually either 2, 4, 6, or 8. Once you go past 8, the dog's going to be a mess, whether it's a husky or a doodle.
So I'm stating the obvious. All the veterinarians understand this already, but it just kind of clicked for me, right? If we're going to build a village like Sammy mentions, you're seeing the clients and interacting with them a lot more often. You're building a different relationship with the clients. The vets are seeing maybe once a year, or if chronic conditions multiple times. So it's even more imperative, right, that there's a good relationship with the vet and the breeder, simply because you're seeing them more often, you're talking to them more often, you have more touch points. At least I think that's my observation.
Yeah. And you know, when we dry the dogs, we have a high velocity dryer, and I go over every centimeter of that dog's body. So if there's 2 inches of hair, but there's an injury underneath, I spot it.
Yeah.
And that's every time they come in. That's how we dry them, just inch by inch.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and that's the thing, you know, sometimes we get like, you know, cases from the groomer, right? They send us dogs that have masses that need to be checked, or ear infections or skin problems, and you know, we're kind of grateful for that, right? Like we're kind of glad that, you know, not only from the business side, but we're creating this, like, you know, team treating the dogs, like, you know.
And a lot of times,
So I
a lot of times chronic conditions, when you're living day to day with a pet, you don't notice the differences.
Yeah, yeah.
A groomer might notice something like a weight
Yep.
loss.
Weight loss for
And-
sure.
Yeah. And that's really interesting to think that just supports the need for a stronger relationship, so that if you do notice the weight loss, you can tell the client, but also make sure they get to the vet.
You know what? I wanted to ask you guys something, because this has become a big problem in my shop. With the doodles, we're seeing a lot more ear infections, right? And the vets are saying, well, have your groomer pluck the ears. So what happens is we pluck the ears, and then ear hematomas or the bleeding starts. And then I get accused of cutting the dog's ear. And then I have to Google ear hematoma and send them a screenshot of what it is. And so the vets are kind of putting the onus on us, but we're not equipped to treat the ear infection. So if we're sending them to the vet, like, hey, your dog needs to go to the vet, I'm not plucking its ears, they're super infected. But then the vets are sending them back and having us pluck them. And I tell people, here's the risk. With an infection this bad, ear hematomas can start. They shake their head, they bleed, and they're like, go ahead and do it. But I don't want to send a dog out of my shop like that. Well, the vet said that the groomer should be doing it.
What do you guys do? Like who plugs the ear, Sammy? Does the vet or the groomer?
It depends. I feel like in some cases it's kind of cruel, and the dog needs to be given some pain medication and sedated a bit if you're going to do that, because it's just cruel to put a dog with a painful ear infection there and he's screaming and you're ripping the hair out of the ear. It's not right, I don't think. I used to pluck them more than I do now.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think if the ear infection's bad enough to need like extensive plucking and cleaning and everything else, the dog needs sedation for that to happen.
Yeah.
Right? Like those things need to go hand in hand.
Yeah.
I agree. I think number one, it's like the veterinarian should be like like for anything medical, the buck has to stop with the medical professional, and like the grooming, if it's appropriate, if it can be done. But I do think there's like a year that you graduated where, but if it's before that, you're like, yeah, pluck the ears. And if it's after that, you're like, I can't imagine plucking the ears. And it's probably 2012, 13, 14, 15, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I've learned that. Like
like it just pivoted one year.
I've learned that if they have ear infections already, you have to wait till the ear is calm and healthy and nice to plug the hair to prevent infections in the future.
Yeah.
But a hairy ear doesn't mean infection. Like a dog with hair in the ear doesn't mean that it has to be plugged. If that dog has never had an ear problem and it's got a hairy ass ear, leave it alone.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I got you. That's it.
New grads and stuff who listen to this podcast, dirty and infected are not the same thing.
Yeah.
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 Yes, exactly. And ear mites are very uncommon in dogs, in kittens maybe, in young cats, but please stop saying ear mites without doing a cytology.
Yep.
Please do a cytology each time. Don't call everything a yeast infection. Don't keep treating with the same medicine over and over again. I don't know. Help the groomers out and solve the freaking infection. Get a culture. I don't know. You know what I mean?
June, what's the craziest thing you've found in a grooming? Like, have you ever pulled like a gold coin out of a dog's ear, or like
Fishing fishing hooks.
Oh,
out of an ear?
No.
Out of an ear?
No, not out of an ear.
Oh, Jesus.
Out of an ear.
my.
I mean, sometimes I joke that there's brains on the end of it when it's really long.
Oof.
Especially if it's a doodle. I'm like, look, there's his brain.
there's no brains in the doodle.
No.
And I want to make it clear that she doesn't plug my ears either. It's just the hair. I don't have enough hair in my ear.
Just wait till you get older. She'll be in there.
Yeah, got those little
We hold it
fluffies in
down.
the ear. Ugh, so gross.
Flipping trazodone in your milk.
But you've taken fish hooks out of dogs' fur.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
that they didn't
That's
even
so
know it was there.
Texas.
That's
No,
crazy.
we had no idea.
Embedded or
That's
just kind of
rural
like
in a lot of part of the
Just
world.
in the matting.
okay? Whoa.
Yeah. Not necessarily.
Welcome to our county.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aren't you guys on the coast? Do you ever see barnacles?
Yeah.
We're in the Gulf Coast. I think
Barnacles
nothing
in the
survives.
fur.
Yeah, it's just like a boiling pot of
Sucked
water in
on.
there.
Gumbo.
They look like one of the
Basically,
characters from Pirates of the Caribbean. They're like fish and stuff stuck everywhere.
Lobster.
yeah, you'll see stuff like that on the shore, like just washed off, on the shore. Like, what is that? Because we have all the chemical plants and all that. So I think very little survives in these waters.
Yeah.
That's why
Um,
we'd be going on to the dogs.
Exactly. They go fishing with their dog on their dog instead of the water.
Yeah.
So one of the big things for me in this whole like services and vets is that because we're vets doesn't mean that we know more than other people. We need to kind of stay in our lane a little bit and kind of be more conducive to collaboration than I'm the vet, I'm going to tell them what to do, right? I feel like there's a little bit of that. And then the groomers wants to be the know-it-alls on skin and ears. I know more than the vet. And
Yep.
then the trainers
Yep.
know more than the vet about training. And then like, how do we kind of make an effort to like stay in our lane, right? And kind of, let the groomers do their thing and respect what they do and what they're good at. And then we in our lane too, and kind of, wanted to say that's something that we need to be more aware of.
I
It's
think
hard. Yeah.
I think
Go ahead.
that's much. I don't know about so much about staying in our lane, but if we want to be leaders in medicine and the veterinary industry, and not just the veterinary medicine, but like in animal care, and I don't have a problem with veterinarians taking that role. We need to be leaders, not just. We have to be collaborative, not just dominant, right? Like we have to be compassionate to the other people who are trying to take care of animals, even if we don't agree with how they're doing it.
Yeah. I've noticed with groomers recently in the past like 10 years, there's a whole lot of arrogance. And I hear, groomers diagnosing things and, oh, your vet doesn't know what he's talking about. You need to go to this guy. And there's a lot of arrogance. And I tell my groomers, don't forget, as good as you are, as much as you know, we are still a blue collar profession. We can be professional all we want. We don't have degrees. We don't even need diplomas, high school diplomas to do this. There's no licensing. There's nothing. So for them, I'm like, you need to stay in your lane. If you don't know what this is, don't diagnose it. Don't diagnose it anyway. Just say, hey, it looks like it could be this, or you need to go to your vet. This arrogance is insane. And I can't belong to any grooming Facebook pages anymore because it's everybody, there're just so many know-it-alls, like you do something for so long. Yeah, you're going to be a know-it-all. But I think because we're blue collar, there's, we never really achieved. We didn't go to vet school for, for 4 years and you don't have to have achieved a lot, but you can still be, successful in your career. And I think that turns into arrogance where they're like, well, I've seen this skin condition once before. I know what it is. Your vet is wrong. There's a lot of that. And sometimes when I see those posts, I'll show John and I'll say, everybody's saying, this is ringworm. What is it? And he just laughs and he's like, no. But every groomer is like, you need to go to the vet right now. It's an emergency. It's ringworm. And it's so.
And then they ask ChatGPT and it gives you like the rarest differential ever to try and sound smart. And I read that, I was like, I've never seen that.
It's
Go
such
ahead,
a shame
Sammy.
because those Facebook groups could actually be so useful if they didn't create so much anger and they weren't so combative. It would actually be an amazing resource. But I agree with June, if you're in any kind of like dog walker, dog community, animal lover Facebook group, there is a lot of judgment, a lot of animosity, a lot of just combative language, fiery language. I don't know why that is and it's a shame because it would otherwise be such a good resource. It would be such a good way to bring together all the members of the animal care community to noodle through a problem together and help people out. But there is so much anger on the internet. And I think that is a big source of where a lot of this kind of like arrogance comes from. They watch a few TikTok reels on,
Yeah.
on dermatologic diseases, and all of a sudden everybody's an expert. But yeah, it is arrogance, but I feel like it's arrogance that's actually rooted in insecurity. Because if you were just confident and at peace with who you were and what you did, and didn't feel like you weren't good enough because you didn't go to vet school, you wouldn't carry that energy as much.
Exactly. So I think they're trying to overcompensate. A lot of us as groomers, I mean, my undergrad was animal biotechnology and conservation. I wanted to go to vet school, but then I met my husband and I wanted to.
John,
And she's like, no, heck no, I don't want to be a vet. Look how miserable he is.
Oh God. Well, now
This
I'm
is terrible.
grateful that I do what I do because I see his schedule and what he has to deal with. But yeah, I mean, I forget where I was going, but yeah,
Well,
it's
I've enjoyed. So I don't know the answer. I'm just hearing kernels that sound like it's part of the answer, which is, Sammy's talking about building a village, getting to know your community members, being a villager. Bill's saying these are not Bill's words. He said it better, but have some grace and respect that everyone's trying to care for the same animal. June's saying people love their animals so much, like their family now. The answer seems to be in community, right? It seems to be in, at least on the small scale, just trying to build that trust and community among groups. And the generic Facebooks, those aren't community. Those are just anonymous voices. Finding ways to do what specialists did a decade ago and build the intentional communities. I don't know.
You have to practice. But it takes time and intention and effort. Like
years.
If you want to build a relationship, like put the time in.
That's right. It's better for the pets, right? That's why we're all here. It's better for the pets at the end of the day.
And I think even if you don't know a groomer right off the top of your head that you would recommend, keep an eye for, like Bill said earlier, like, oh, that groomer looks really nice. Who's your groomer? Let me find out more, right? Like, not necessarily just for business, but just to have that collaboration that's going to turn into business later on.
Yeah. And
I mean, there's going to be,
another option, like Bill was, to just pick on Bill, but there's relationships that sound like they're successful or beyond transactional, right? Bill noticed that this cat groomer who was doing interesting things was also willing to share and you become more educated about groomers because of that person. But you weren't just transacting and just taking the person and saying, thanks for your business. It's probably the same with groomers. You're more than just transactional. You're actually curious and getting to know the people, and something about connecting the community then of service providers.
It's rewarding in and of itself.
Right. It doesn't happen organically. The work you have to be the villager, to quote Sammy.
Yeah, I feel like every member of the animal care team should have a Rolodex of other members of the animal care team that they can recommend. If that's, the groomer, the dog trainer, the pet sitter, the doggy daycare service, the cremation service. God forbid it's going to happen for all of us at some stage. You need to be able to recommend every step of the way.
Yeah, imagine if on
have
your
relationships.
In your intake form at the vet, you actually had a place where they list all the service providers they use.
That would be cool.
And then you just You just send a message after that groomer saying, "Hey, we're welcoming this dog into our community." That's all it is.
That would be so nice. That's a great
adding that to my intake form today.
Well, and now let's take the action after that. So you send the welcome to my team invite to the groomer. They're part of the team then.
Yeah.
That's super really good. That's a great idea.
Yeah, I'm done. We're going to do that today. That's a great idea.
So there's your practical advice from FlareVet by David right there. That's
we
good.
Make it practical. We got to walk away here with a couple actionable ideas, but
100%.
Yeah.
Hey,
so,
yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead, Greg.
One of the things we're always trying to do with FlareVet is sell out to be corporate shills. And I'm just wondering, June, if you have some good product recommendations. I actually people ask me and I'm like, I don't know it that well. Like I'm awful at grooming and all this stuff. So I'm very curious if there are specific products you like, or it's more about how you use it or the individual dog. If you're like, dude, I love the Duxo, whatever, or this particular product, because everyone wants to know, which product.
Shampoos.
Which oatmeal.
I use BioGroom. I like BioGroom a lot.
BioGroom?
BioGroom. Yeah. It's a little bougie. It's more expensive than the other stuff, but it's good. It's good. And
because clients have that question a lot. They're like, what shampoo do you recommend? And you're like, anything. Go to the store, buy a shampoo and bathe your dog.
Yeah.
So it's good to know a specific product.
Yeah.
right?
I think the bottle's red sometimes. I don't know.
Right.
That's Chi. You're talking about Chi, I think.
June, we're usually
That's a human one.
We're usually posting links and things, June, to people's businesses. But do you have? I'm really curious. I know you have a mini horse. You've done some cool grooming. I've seen it
Yeah.
on John's LinkedIn share. But do you have a business page or something we can go see mini horse groomings?
Yeah, I have a Facebook page, and it's just Professional Grooming by June.
Okay.
I have a QR code. I don't know if that will work.
We'll get it up here somehow.
Yeah. But yeah, and I have pictures of the mini horse on there that we did. Yeah.
So there's a TikToker that is pretty famous, right? What's her name?
Yeah. Michelle Colunio. She's local.
And they
she's
tell us about your experience with her.
Yeah, she's a monetized influencer, and she's a dog groomer, and I found her. She's local, and I invited her down to play around with the farm animals. So we dyed my goat in tie-dye, and then we did my mini horse, and then we did a neighbor's chicken, and she's coming back to do more. She does a lot of really funny, stereotyping dog breeds, and she's bubbly and happy, and she's pretty funny. But her name is Michelle Colunio, and she's.
So you'll see our goat. The banner for this episode, there's a goat there that they did together. They've done a mini horse, a chicken. So I don't know if you guys enjoy funny stuff, funny videos. She's pretty good.
Yeah. We're gonna do the goat again next Monday for Christmas. Yeah.
So stay tuned.
Yeah.
Wow.
That goat is more famous than FlareVet right now. But that'll change. That'll change eventually.
I think you should include John.
That goat had over 400,000 views.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
By goats, by squirrels. There's a tortoise with way more followers, but
Big international following, I bet. For good.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, people log in to watch like birds that are nesting and laying on an egg to see if the eggs pop out. I mean, that, so I don't know. I need to sit down and think what we're doing wrong here. Maybe we should have a little box with a chicken sitting on a nest or something, or some giraffe being born. I don't know, something like that.
We should have a chicken on the panel.
We could ask Greg.
Yeah.
Greg, you could dress up monthly.
Sitting on an egg, John.
What's that?
Wait. I think we're on to a mascot topic.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know. We're getting down to like the last few minutes. I guess the main take home points right now are, get along with the other people that care for our patients and build a community of people that you could actively recommend. That way they're seeing the person that you feel is the most appropriate. It's going to be the best for your patients, and I think the plan is just to be more proactive about it, and be curious about what trainer trained that dog, what groomer groomed that dog, who bred this dog. I'm saying, and and that'll not only promote your practice and you as a vet, right? That's comes as an add-on, but now you have a patient that has care that is globalized and holistic, and all those people get along, know each other. They know what they recommend. They know what they what limits and boundaries they set with each other, and what advice to get about what, right? Because we can give some advice about training, but maybe there's a trainer that is excellent and can train that dog really well, and you want to know who that trainer is. So I don't know if anybody else has any other thoughts or questions.
We barely talked about anal glands. I feel like we were trying to be tasteful.
Oh, you want to end on a good note?
Let's get your thoughts. Yeah.
I got hit in the mouth.
What do you think about anal glands?
One in 30 years. I've only had one.
That's too many
I
times.
sprayed Lysol.
Gnarly.
In my mouth. Yeah.
I'm so
No.
sorry.
Oh.
It shot sideways. I couldn't avoid it. Anyway. That's it.
Man.
Thank you for sharing.
Well, I'm glad we don't have them. I'm glad, anytime I hear complaints about anal glands, I look at the staff member like, aren't you glad you don't have anal glands that somebody has to squeeze out the juice? You imagine like after our dinner,
Humiliation.
like we sit down for dinner, we're done dinner. It's like, hey babe, I'm feeling a little pressure today. You mind squeezing my anal glands?
Why me?
Phew, terrible.
Wow.
I think we should.
I would
think we
love
should
to be a fly on the
we
wall at your
we should
house.
wrap on that one.
You'll have company too.
Yeah, right.
I really wish I could have had John in center stage for that.
We can have AI do it. We'll ask the robots
I want to
fix
see
that.
what the AI generated image for that's going to be. It's going to be John in the collar tied to the groomer's helper.
Y'all are gonna scar me.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think we need to end this live stream.
yeah. Thank you so much, guys. It was awesome.
June, you've
Thank
been
you
a
for being
treat.
here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks everybody for being here. And I think that just stay curious, think about your patient and what's best for them, and just be more proactive about giving them that holistic care that we need for our patients, because it's gonna make it for a better patient and a better relationship with our clients as well. So thanks again for tuning in. We'll be back a little bit earlier next month. We'll have some announcements, and I hope you tune in then. Thanks again. Take care.
Bye. Thanks, guys.
Is it off now? Or is it still going?